Because right now, look, we're talking about Alabama, Alabama, Alabama. Don't forget, Ole Miss is still right there in the SEC West picture, although Alabama owns the tiebreaker advantage over them. But big picture, Lane Kiffin gets another win. But here's where I want to go with this, because I read this stat numerous times on air Saturday. I'm going to say it again because I don't think that this is how the power gods intended this to go. But Ole Miss has defeated Texas A&M 3 consecutive times. Ole Miss, little Ole Miss, Oxford, Mississippi, big bad Texas A&M. Lane Kiffin's done it 3 consecutive times.
And yesterday, maybe the last time he knocks off Jimbo Fisher, his arch nemesis. And Matt, it's an amazing accomplishment. And the fact that that game went the way it did, I think, makes the loss even worse for A&M. But it's a tremendous accomplishment for Lane. He does not have those 5 stars. And, you know, you've heard that, you sit with coaches all the time, and I've heard coaches theorize that 5 stars don't like to get punched in the mouth. And it tends to affect them a little bit. And I think that's what you saw from Lane Kiffin's team yesterday. I mean, they went up against elite defensive players and won the battle. And again, I'll say this again about Jimbo Fisher. That was his 4th loss. He still has to go to Baton Rouge. I don't know exactly what conversations are going on, but the feeling in Oxford, which is where I spent yesterday, was that the book on Jimbo Fisher is closing. There's just nothing else to say. What do you want? What else do you need to see if you're a Texas A&M administrator from him that next year is going to be any different than this year?
So through 69 games between he and Kevin Sumlin, Sumlin has 3 more wins. It's 47-22 for Sumlin, 44-25 for Jimbo Fisher. Sumlin had the advantage of Johnny Manziel. I get it. But the difference in the 3 victories is the difference in paycheck. They rolled out a blank check to bring in Jimbo Fisher from Florida State, not to go 7-5, 6-6.
No.
They thought that they have, and I would agree with this. Texas A&M has the resources, has the facilities, has the history to win the West against the Alabamas and the LSUs and the Auburns. They have that.
And they had the advantage this year, which is critical, of playing Alabama at home. And hear me clearly, Jimbo Fisher may be there next year. I don't know. And I'm not about to claim that I do. But I don't think it's the money. If they want to make a change, they'll make a change, whether it's $77 million or normal buyout. But to make that change, they have to have an answer. And I think what A&M people are trying to figure out is, if we make this change, then who comes in? Otherwise, they have enough talent on that roster to maybe turn 2 or 3 games and have a good season. But the idea that we're talking national championships anymore at A&M under Jimbo Fisher, I mean that train is long, long gone.
I have thought about that as well. I say this all the time, because we'll get into the point of this show here in the next few weeks, where it will become apparent that there are going to be some coaches that are no longer at their particular program, because that's the way that the business is. And I've always said, okay, fan base, if you want your guy gone, then you had best have an idea of who comes next, and you would best have a succession plan that, at least on the surface, guarantees you more success. Otherwise, you're starting over for no reason. There are things that are they're irreparable that you have to do. For instance, Michigan State, Mel Tucker, they were underperforming on the field. He just wasn't worth the money that he got. He had 1 good year, and he just wasn't worth it. But they had an issue where they had to get rid of him, so they got to find someone. That's a situation beyond the university's control in getting rid of a coach. If you're Texas A&M, like, who's out there? I mean, do you look across the sidelines to Lane Kiffin? I mean, who's out there that's going to make you live up to the expectations that you have as a Texas A&M person?
Well, you're right, and I don't know. I mean, Lane Kiffin seems very happy where he is. It's does he want to deal with all that? I mean,
No,
he's already coached for the Raiders, where you have an egomaniacal owner. He's coached at Southern Cal, which is as tough as it gets, and to go into that
Tennessee for a cup of
cauldron,
coffee.
I don't see why he would. I mean, there may be something out there for Lane Kiffin, but it's not there. And the only name people keep throwing up is Mike Elko, but like I don't. I mean, that would be a really big risk. I don't care how good a coach he is, but to put him in that environment with Texas coming in the SEC, I mean, they have a serious problem at A&M. I'm stating the obvious here. I'll try not to do that. They've got to figure this out, and he has no more real estate to change anyone's mind. I mean, the only game left on the schedule that matters is at LSU on the final weekend, and beating a 3-loss LSU team is not going to change anyone's mind.
It's funny you bring up Elko because I just spent time with Elko this week, Thursday night college football. We were at Duke in their game against Wake Forest, and Elko obviously has the history as there as the defensive coordinator. And Elko might be a guy when you look at it, and I'm not putting him in the Texas A&M job. I'm just simply bringing him up for bigger jobs. He's from South Brunswick. Like he just legitimately doesn't give a damn. He's just a South Brunswick guy. He's got that wise guy mentality up in this area of the country. He might be a guy that goes to a big program. Like, I don't give a damn what you think. Like, I'm tough, hard-nosed defensive guy. I'm substance. I'm not sizzle. I'm going to recruit guys. And by the way, if 5-star softness is my problem, then I'm not going to get the 5 stars. I'm going to get the 3 and 4 stars. I'm going to make them tough. So the names with A&M are going to be interesting while they still have a head coach, but it just, I don't know. I can't put my finger on the Jimbo.
But Matt, yeah. I agree with that, Elko, but that as good as that may sound, you've been to A&M.
Yeah.
That may not work. That might not pass the interview process because A&M is different than every other school that I've ever been to. And I respect the people out there immensely, but it's unique. And if you don't adhere to that uniqueness, you're not going to make it there.
Yeah. And you want to go back a month when Coach Prime's name was being floated for everything. I mean, he's demoting coordinators mid-season. He's butchering clock management. I mean,
and I saw where Jimbo Fisher is a buy on. Dabo Sweeney said his stock is a buy. What is Coach Prime's right now?